Alright, hey there viewers out in YouTube land. Tonight we're going to review a brand new offering, at least brand new to the shelves of my liquor store anyway. This is from Pump House, one of my favorite regional breweries, and based out of New Brunswick. This is the Pump House SOB. I know what you're thinking it stands for, and actually I've already had one of these and I had to exclaim to myself, son of a bitch, that's a pretty good beer. What this is actually, it stands for Special Old Bitter, 5% ABV. This is one of the many beers that Pump House has on tap at their actual brew pubs, right? But for whatever reason they haven't bottled it until now. I guess it's become so popular. Like apparently it's one of their most popular session ales that they have on tap. So they've decided to bottle it and sell it, and it just appeared on the shelves of my liquor store this week, as far as I can tell. And so yeah, Special Old Bitter. Beer Advocate says it's an English style bitter, and I guess that's somewhat true, but it's actually more of an American pale ale bitter sort of idea, because it has West Coast hops in it, and it's supposed to have more of a citrusy kind of taste to it than it does more of a sort of a fruity floral kind of taste that you get from an English style bitter, right? So we're going to go right into the review now and see how this beer turns out. Okay, we're back. So we're going to pour it now. Wow. Gotta be careful here. Quite the hit on it. Pretty active that way. It's probably going to settle. The first one I had settled down quite a bit. So what it settled down to was sort of about a one finger head, and it was sort of retained as sort of a sticky ring of lacing after a little while, and put some good lacing down the glass. So it's actually pretty good that way. It reminds you of a English style ale or a bitter like that. So yeah, anyway, as you can, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, the color sort of bounces between the color of like pure honey to like orange. When I first looked at it, I was like, wow, that's the most orange colored beer I've ever seen. Like, that's more orange than most India Pale Ales I've seen. And so yeah, it's sort of in between that, sort of depending on where you hold it in the light, it's sort of an orange color, or a real golden honey color, like especially golden honey color, I guess. So we're going to take a little whiff of the aroma now. Oh yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this is 5% ABV. Okay, so what I'm getting here is definitely has a lot in common with ESBs, like Fuller's ESB, the Propeller ESB that I reviewed. It does sort of have that sort of fruity kind of caramel sort of blend of aromas, but there's definitely a really strong pine, sort of citrus and pine combination, which would lead one to believe this is an IPA. Okay, it definitely has a sort of an IPA smell. Okay, so that's nice. See, that head's quite quite fluffy, kind of. So you can pretty much tell it's going to retain fairly well, right? Okay, so we'll take the taste test now, and we'll see how that turns out. You could almost classify this as an Indian Pale Ale. It definitely has a lot in common. Like I said, with the aroma, citrusy and piney. The taste definitely has that hop bite right up front, and it has more sort of combination of caramel and citrus sweetness, and sort of that pine kind of taste again with the hops. It's hard to describe how the bitterness works in this one. Most IPAs, the bitterness, it'll touch the tongue and it'll carry on to the back of the mouth and linger for a long time. At least that's what I find with a good IPA. This one, there seems to be that level of bitterness. I'm not sure what the IBUs are on this, but I'd say they're probably around, probably close to 60 or something like that, something around there. So technically you could probably call this an IPA. It sort of has those same flavors. At the same time, there is an underlying sort of fruitiness, and the caramel taste. Not a citrus fruitiness, but more of a dark fruitiness kind of thing going on. And that would put it more on the side of an ESB. So actually this is kind of like almost an in-between between an ESB and an IPA. The one thing that makes me hesitant in calling this an IPA, along with the fact that the bitterness quite isn't as sharp as you would expect in an IPA, is the fact that it's 5% ABV. Okay, when you're looking at an IPA, although this is not true with all IPAs, most of them are about 6.5% or up. Between 6 and 6.5, 7, something like that. And after that you start getting into Imperial IPAs and double, triple IPAs, all that kind of good stuff. And you know, you can get way up in the alcohol, you get an extreme amount of IBU. The bitterness that lingers in the mouth, it's also got sort of a sweetness going on to it. This is a fucking excellent beer. And even though it is got sort of that IPA-like quality to it, it's not overly flavorful. Like, it's not extreme in its flavors or its bitterness. It's got a nice lingering bitterness on the tongue, but it's not something that's going to overpower the palate all that much. So it actually would make a pretty damn decent session beer. I can see why it's been so popular at the Pump House Brewery. A beer right after my own heart, at least in the name. 4 out of 5, definitely. This is an excellent beer, all around excellent beer. Maybe not quite at the level of Fuller's ESB, but it's close. It's really close.
30